How's it going, guys, and welcome back to day 3 of the PLO World Championship over here on Coin Poker. We're going to jump straight into the action here in a sec. We're already in it. So over here we 3-bet pre. Pretty unsatisfying flop. Gonna check back. Turn the deuce of hearts. Interesting stuff. So turning that flush draw in a gutter. Actually, it's not really the nut flush draw. It feels like the nut flush draw. I wish it would be the nut flush draw, but it's not. Gonna opt to bet this turn. Just put a couple of flush draw into the cage there. Yeah, the title is not clickbait, as per usual. We have a pretty nasty swing on day 2. More about that in a second, as we are getting people involved here. This is a 5-way pot all the way to the river. We're just check calling. We're trapping now. We allowed maybe a better hand to get there. No. Trap worked, basically. So if you want to see a nasty graph, then you're on the right channel. Okay, so single raise pot over here. Start betting the flop. All right. On this table, the flop goes check, check. Opponent probes turn, we call. Follows through on the river. Not really a great hand to call, to be honest, because we have the hearts. Only thing that is in our favor is the 9. Which is fine. Folding here. Opponent shows up with the combo draw. No pair blocker. It's an interesting one. And over here, we're just gonna call. Obviously flop really bad for my specific hand. So currently playing, what is it? 3 tables, but as the action moves really quick, we might actually slow it a little bit down and make this a bit more of an educational stream here just in a second as we're toning down the music. And because with the whole card feature, it's going to be pretty cool to also review some of the hands that everyone is playing here at a very high level. As you can see, everyone's whole cards, or not everyone's whole cards, but the winner's whole cards. Gonna raise his hand in the small blind. And on this flop, we can just get away betting a lot of different hands. Because our range is so much stronger. Let's see where this goes. Okay, so we get called, and the turn is a 7. It's a pretty interesting card. So all the spades miss, like jack, like kind of interested in betting here sometimes. Okay, we're gonna bet take it down, and then down here we're betting the flop with jack 6-6, just trying to get some value. Okay, I think we're gonna slow it down to 2 tables just to like have more room to speak, review hands, and learn something. There's so much to learn, such an interesting lineup, phenomenal players here at 6max PLO. Like if you want to see what 6max PLO has to offer, at the top of the rim, then you should definitely check out the action on Coin. And that's coming from someone who dropped 30 stacks in one session. I mean, I want some stacks back, to be fair, but more about that in a second. But you know, yesterday on the stream, we talked about the, you know, what should you do if the deck hits you in the face and all this kind of stuff. And in today's stream, you know, it's the perfect opportunity. Amazing. You know, it's a blessing for me, right? Because now I have the perfect spot to talk about it. I think here we're going to call, I mean, our calling ranges are just going to be much wider overall. Not here, here, but this is an obvious either call or raise. I suppose we're just going to go with the call. Like raising might be interesting to just like force out some mergy queen jack combos or something. But yeah, we just call. And then on the river here, blocking the straight, not holding a club. The button open raising range is so wide, we're probably just gonna call down. He's representing king 10 or 10-9, I suppose, or king 10. Yeah, well, gotta see that hand at showdown to really believe it. Ah, okay, okay. Sometimes you gotta call because you don't, you know, you gotta see it to believe it. You gotta see it to believe it, as they say. But yeah, as you can tell, you know, morale is not too low, even though we got smashed by the deck. So let me close the two tables so we have a bit more space here to talk poker. So king queen jack 6 is going to be an open. In this structure, you can play limps, you can play only raises. I play only raises because that's what I trained and worked on. So that's what we're going to be executing. Let's make a bit of promo here. Pushing out the word on Discord and so on. We're alive. Lower this to two tables here in a second. So we get called by small blind. And we have two pair on this board. I think just like betting small blind, small blind, small blind. No, let's just check. Let's just check. A lot of the hands are going to be just dead against us. Depends how wide he wants to call. In a traditional game, two blinds with rake and so on, it's going to have much more like Broadway pairs, which is kind of scary. But I think in this format, he's going to be much wider because people just play wide ranges. On the turn, we're kind of setting the trap again. It's not really that much benefit. Like we will get check raised sometimes on the turn, or even called by better. So we're just like laying the trap, so to speak. And on the river, we have the nuts. And so now the question is like, how do we extract value? I think we're just gonna go for the pot size bet here. It's tough to get value either way, to be honest. Oh man, I got like 50,000 messages on Discord. Jesus. Okay, if I don't reply on Discord, by the way, just get, you know, have some patience. So here, let's start with fire. Tricky board against half. Diamonds suck. Like, in theory, you should have a lot of aces, obviously, but we're still ahead of like other stuff. It's gonna be quite difficult to read as our equity, though. I think with like trip diamonds, we're fine. Just folding. We're lagging. Okay. Shows up with the aces. We are far behind that hand. I mean, we gotta give the positions a bit of respect. It's EP versus the next one. No. Well, it wasn't 30 binds on 2K, but it was 20 binds on 2K. Oh, let me just double check if I'm lagging or not. No. Check raise here in the flop. I'm just gonna get rid of my hand. For the god sake of it, internet, please. Have mercy. Okay. Put the announcement out. There we go. Publish. We're live. Cool. All right, let's lower this down to 2 tables so we can give this the focus it deserves. We have 2 tables for deep here, 7K and 4K, whatever. Let's position this up here, bring up hand to node, give you guys some insights about what a beautiful hand here, by the way. About how the situation looks. But let's play this hand first here. The absolute nuts, the absolute coconuts here in this environment. Queen, queen, jack, jack, double suited. Come in for the 3-bet. All right, I guess we have to hit the flop. A little daily heat check. Incoming. Can we get there? Oh man, this is disgusting. I think we're just gonna fold. Just gonna fold my set against cutoff. Bam! We're locked in, guys. We're locked in. What a start. What a start. Just fold it, like, just check fold. Nasty. Okay, we got 2 tables running. Let's dive into the results here for a second. Actually, I still have a 3rd table, so I'm going to close that down first, and then we're going to get into the mix. YouTube comments over here. Yeah, I played a lot of hands, like 9,000 hands or something. Basically, playing 2K, getting wrecked, playing 500 as 2K dies in the evening hours, like the action dies, and then crushing 500. I mean, obviously it's a different field, you know, full transparency. I'm not sure if I have an edge in the 2K field. There is no rake, so that's great. But these guys are fucking beasts. These guys are animals. You can basically label every regular as relentless, just not giving up ever, ever, ever. Just like not folding, bluffing everywhere, not backing off. You know, gotta respect it. Gotta respect it for sure. So when you drop down to 500, or when I drop down to 500, it's like, oh my god, this is a walk in the park. People find the fold button, really? How? So yeah, but this should be some cool footage. So hopefully you guys are appreciative of the fact that I'm playing some 2K here on stream against some of these animals. But there's a ton to learn. Make sure the music is not too loud, or let's just get rid of the music in that sense. All right, here we go. Let's lock in, guys. Over here, we're not going to get too much out of line. Just have absolutely nothing to work with. All right. You know, so that's a common topic, right? It's like, how is the variance in PLO? Now, variance is a bit of a complicated word because, you know, people usually say this word or the word downswing. I mean, I really don't like the word downswing, but I know it's going to get clicks, so I'm going to use it in the title. Because it kind of assumes, yeah, you know, I had this massive edge and then suddenly the deck hit me in the face, and now I'm down all these stacks, but I should be up so many stacks, right? So that sort of assumption, I think, is usually not very productive. Like, it leads to like more delusion, which is very common to get into anyway in poker. So I don't want to encourage that as a general rule. So, you know, I look at it more as like, hey, this is what happened, you know. So let's see. I mean, it's still early days. So Fernando minus 8.5K on the leaderboard. Feels bad, man. Well, guys, we're on day 3. So we'll see what our strategy is. So here is a hand to note. Here we can see the stats. So I can't really zoom in right now like that, but if we would zoom in, 1 second. So basically what happened is these are in big blinds. Yeah, this is in big blinds. So this kind of mixes the 2 stakes together, right? So 502K. So first I go up 15 buy-ins, right? This is what we saw on day 1. And now look how aggressive day 2 starts. Look at the, I mean, you can ignore the all-in EV line for a second. It makes things a bit easier. So look how aggressive day 2 starts. I'm up 15 buy-ins. I drop 30 stacks straight. I'm talking straight. Like this is, bam, all the way down, you know? Over here, I'm probably just gonna rip this. So we open under the gun, call a 3-bet. Like it's very rare to have 2 pair on a board like that. Over here we have a cold 4-bet spot. We get in the mix. $810. Ooh, we get the cold call. The guy wants to crack the aces. Oh well, let's see what's gonna happen. We need some diamante. Oh my god. Okay, interesting. So we have the ace of hearts, so we're gonna bet obviously. This is such a weird spot. At least the board is very disconnected, so we have that going. So we're gonna start. It's a weird spot because a flush is just not folding here usually, so it's a bit strange. The reason the flush is not folding is because the SPR is so low, like they just don't need to be right that often, you know? So we still want to have some bluffs. So probably going to use like some sort of RNG mechanism to find some bluffs here. Okay. Oh man, if we get called by 2, the problem really is that I'm going to run into a flush more often. I can't really have too many bluffs. Let's think about this for a second. Doesn't really feel like we want to go too crazy here. Check this hand. Especially getting called by 2 on the flop. I mean, there's a lot of removal going on there as well. Meaning, it means that a lot of hearts are out there. So I'm going to be more swayed towards having the blocker. Jesus, my internet. Maybe I need to switch, but that might disconnect the stream. So I'm not going to do that. So here in the turn, it's a very polar spot. I would imagine we see just a bunch of checks, but this guy obviously rips. I wonder if this is a bluff, but there's no, in no world we can call this. I wouldn't even be surprised if it is a bluff, to be honest. Over on this table, we play check call in a single raise pot. This guy shows up with a low flush. So if he value jams a low flush on the turn, I mean, in no world ever is he ever considering folding. So here in very nice spot, dry run out. We really hope my opponent has the blockers and not the chop. But, you know, hope is not a strategy, as they say. We're all in. Please fold. No, this sucks. Okay. We have 27 days to recover. Yeah, well, let's do it in 1 day. No, just kidding. So if we go back here into the graph a little bit, we can see the current state. So again, we're up 15 buy-ins on day 1, but we log in 4,000 hands of volume. You know, that's a respectable amount. Day 2, we drop 30 stacks straight. It's just like no winning. There's like no break. It's just lose every hand and down 30 stacks. Then I'll put in a little night shift yesterday at 500. Obviously, at 500, I run godly and I just go up. What is this? 15 to almost 20 stacks. So I go up like almost 20 stacks in this session. So like in this stretch right there. Mind you, this is like mostly 2K and then this is mostly 500. So it's always beautiful if you run bad. At the higher stake and run good in the lower stakes. But this is, it's common. It's a common thing. It can happen. And then a little downturn right there. So like in the grand scheme of things, if you think about this swing right there, which is like 10 binds or something, it almost doesn't feel like that big in relation to this swing right there. So pretty nasty stuff. Now overall results, we have so far, let's see. So we're so far 9,000 hands in, down 14K. The overall win rate is -1 big blind. So obviously there is a ton of freaking variance involved. And so one of the questions that is people have all the time is obviously like, how do you deal with the variance? Like how do you deal with I'm down 5 buy-ins, what do I do? Well, it's it could be worse. It could be worse than 5 buy-ins. That's where I would start. But yeah, in this stream, I want to discuss a bit of strategies and mindset around variance. So if you guys have any questions about variance, let me know in the chat. Like how do I personally deal with it? Like how do I think about it? Like all this kind of stuff. Let me know in the chat. What is the what's a bad swing you had yourself and so on. Now, mind you, like 30 stacks, we're talking about deep stack tables, right? We're talking about high volume. Well, one doesn't really matter. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. It does matter because I played thousands of hands in one day, so you can like drop 30 stacks like pretty easily. Yeah, so the first concept I want to talk about is about downswings is the following. There are two things, there are two variables that can rattle your confidence, right? Because that's basically what happens before you go on tilt or when you go on tilt, like your confidence, the way you, like your objectivity about your game and even your willingness to just execute what you know or your ability to do it declines when these two things are in play, right? Okay. So number one, the deck hits you in the face, right? And you recognize I'm unlucky. Right, so it's completely out of your hands because it feels like that, and it is out of your hands. You're just getting unlucky, so it feels unjust. You're like, oh shit, this shouldn't happen, right? And I don't know why it shouldn't happen, but that's what you would think. And so that can shake your confidence because you're like, well, I don't know when this is gonna end. I should win, like all this kind of stuff, right? Even though you shouldn't. This is just like how the game works. Variance is part of it, and that's what we are signing up to. It's kind of like going into a street fight and, every single day. And then one day you come back and you have a couple of broken ribs. You're like, what happened? This shouldn't happen. It's like, well, you went into a street fight, dude. Like stuff will happen along the way. That's what you sign up for. So there is that, that can rattle your confidence. It's like, oh shit, this thing is out of my control. What do I do? We're going to talk about that in a second. And then the second thing is, what if my opponents are better, right? Like, oh shit, I think I'm getting outplayed. People are playing over my head. They know what I have. And usually those two things come together because there are various forms that downswing exists. We're going to call it 3-bet here. It's not just, hey, I had aces, he had kings. Sorry, the other way around. I had aces, he had kings, and he hit and was lucky. Or sometimes it's like, hey, I had the second best hand and value jammed, and he called me off. Or I don't know, I had the best bluff catcher, and he jammed, and he happened to have it 5 times in a row, right? So after a while, you're like, I think these guys are in my head, and it seems like they have an edge over me. So here, 3-bet pot, he checks all the way down. It's don't do a good job at all blocking any value. Like the flushes are still in that range and king queen is still in that range. So not really sure how deep I want to dig here because Again, no club, no king, no queen. Surely you can have like ace, ace, king with a high club, but like a lot of these combos, they start bluffing earlier. So I'm fine like folding this specific hand. Does show up with the king, queen with the club blocker. So yeah, just making like rational decisions. So basically, those are the two things that happen when you're in a when you're in a downswing. Like you're not sure if you have an edge, and so there's a way to deal with that. And then on the other side of the coin, it's like it feels unjust, and you think you should be winning when you aren't, right? So those two things can rattle the cage. And so how do we deal with those things? So the first thing is about the injustice, right? So you need to understand what variance really means. That's the thing. Most people don't understand like how many stacks you can drop and how violent this game is and how much it is out of your control, right? You need to, I read a book many, many years ago. We're talking almost 20 years ago. And I think it was called Your Worst Poker Enemy, right? And it is about yourself, right? It is how do you become better psychologically at the game? And the number one rule in this entire book was you need to accept and understand understand and accept the realities of poker. And that is really base one. Most people are not there. And that is because that's incredibly difficult. For the human mind to understand variance is very, very difficult. It's easy to underestimate variance, but to accurately and objectively assess variance, it's very counterintuitive, right? Not intuitive for humans. So if you don't understand, first of all, intellectually, like how much variance is in the game, then you look at a result and you feel like this is not deserved. What is going on? I don't understand it, right? And that is going to rattle your confidence. And again, if something rattles your confidence, it's the first sort of step into tilting over and then not playing your best game. Here, this guy limp raises from the small blind. All right, we're going to call. Well, it's not going to be my flop. We're going to fold. So what can you do? Well, do some research, right? Run some scenarios. You can use variance calculators to understand what is the variance you're signing up to, like what is going to be possible. And the thing is, you need to be ready to accept that it goes in both ways, right? In day one, I won 20,000. In day two, I'm down. I lost like 30 or 40,000. I guess I lost like 40, went back 10 up, something along those lines, or some back. It doesn't really matter that much. But basically, stuff happened, and it's completely like within the normal swing. There's nothing purely from a variance perspective. Like there's nothing to observe. But the thing about the human mind, though, is that when something goes wrong, so to speak, right, when you are at danger. Like, oh shit, I'm like losing my money, I'm losing my stacks, I'm losing my edge, all this kind of stuff, then it is in our nature to think we need to do something, right? It's like an alarming signal. It's like, I need to do something. Something is going wrong. I need to protect myself. Something is happening that shouldn't happen, so I need to do something, right? And that is not necessarily true. Because if you're just experiencing variance, there's nothing to do, so to speak. It's just like, it's more about what you shouldn't do. Don't go crazy, right? Oh, well, this variance happens. What do I need to do about it, right? Something. Well, nothing. Just don't go crazy, Just review some hands, obviously. Keep your head on the shoulders and just realize that this is what you signed up for, and it's all good. It's all good. You're not in danger. Here we face delay. Just gotta call and see like how the board develops and runs out. There's like some high hard stuff that he can bluff with that we are not blocking. On the river, like the value betting threshold now becomes pretty slim, I would think so, unless he goes small like this. So now you can still have kings and so on. That being said, I think just paying off is the default play here. I'm just trying to think about like what hands would I be bluffing with. Maybe a queen that doesn't have the ace blocker for aces. So just like calling here and losing usually. Does have the aces, not a big deal. Over here, we limp on the button. Don't really limp that much, but like some hands, some situations, I think I really want to be limping more so. So here, 10-10-5-3, queen 9-9. It's not looking good so far. Let's see if my opponent bets, goes in for the check. So maybe some opportunities to bluff down the road. At the moment, with a little bit of showdown, we're just going to check the flop and see how this thing develops. Internet, please.